Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's just about 5:34 in the Rolling Stones with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102. Hey, not for nothing, but there's a flood watch in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. It is going to rain and rain a lot. Showers, thunderstorms could be heavy at times today, a high of 66 tonight. Early thunderstorms with fog developing later in the night with a low of 55 tomorrow. Showers early and then overcast for the remainder of the day, a high of 69. It's about 56 degrees right now in downtown Springfield. It's Tuesday. That means a thrilling round of Am I the A-Hole? That's coming up. And there's loads of other stuff, too. We'll talk about flooding and rain and A-Holes. That's the show. Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Caller.
Breaking the law.
Oh, wait a minute. Different band.
Different band.
Yeah.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:52 and Whitesnake with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
Do I even need to give a forecast? It's pretty much just going to rain until God decides, hey, I think you've had enough.
Listen, we're not stopping until the ark is rebuilt.
Yeah, it is apparently monsoon season out there. Rainy today, heavy downpours at times with a high of 64. Tomorrow, more of the same with a high of 68. It's 57 right now in downtown Springfield.
Hollywood Trash is brought to you by Western Mass Masons. Call them for all your foundation and chimney needs.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So, from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
You know, I guess this thing about P. Diddy, the positive thing that's come out of this is we're not hearing from Hollywood much as of late. Because it's like, maybe I should keep my mouth shut since I might have been at one of them parties.
Yeah,
you never know.
Between his parties and Epstein Island.
Yeah.
It's a very bad time to be sowing your oats in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Much better to sit around the house and wait for the dog to find your body.
You can sow oats anywhere in the country now. You don't have to go to Hollywood to do that.
Apparently true.
Rihanna and I don't. This is where I'm old. I'm an old man. Is it ASAP Rocky or ASAP Rocky?
I can't believe you don't know this.
And what is it? You don't know either, old man. We're both two old men trying to figure out how to say this stupid guy's name.
The proper pronunciation is ASAP Rocky.
Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
He's a sap.
Well,
Rocky.
Back to the Codger and Cotton Top show. Hey, what about this Rihanna and the ASAP Rocky guy? Is that Rocky Balboa?
Why do you tell me that story while he replaced the tennis balls in my walker?
Well, anyway, he knocked her up, and they're expecting baby number 3. How about that?
Huh.
She debuted her baby bump before arriving at the Met Gala yesterday. She just did, she just had the baby. Remember she was pregnant with the other baby during the Super Bowl halftime show a couple of years ago?
That's correct.
Yeah. Her photographer posted a photo of her earlier in the day with the bump exposed in the rain. That sounds like a good song. My bump exposed in the rain.
I don't think that I can take it because it took so long to bake it.
Yes. Someone left my bump out in the rain. And later her
And I'll never have that virginity again.
Yeah. Proving my point that we are two old men trying to hash up songs from the past.
Yeah, because here we are talking about ASAP Rocky and Rihanna, and we're bringing up a Richard Harris song.
Hey, that MacArthur Park is now probably the Met Gala Center, or Met Life Center, or whatever it's called now, right?
I think so.
You think about that, how MacArthur Park would probably be named something like built on a sponsorship.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like the Chipotle Park.
The sad part about it is probably some people in the audience too young to remember the Richard Harris version and say, no, that's the Donna Summer song. No. Old farts like us know the original.
Anyway, then ASAP confirmed the news at the gala and said, quote, "It feels amazing. It's time that we show the people what we was cooking up. And I'm glad everybody's happy for us because we definitely happy, Yeah, I bet you know.
I bet.
There's no word on if they're having a boy or a girl. They share two sons. I think it's Rza, R-Z-A, and Riot Rose.
Riot Rose is the name of the other kid?
Yeah. All right.
That kid's just asking for trouble.
Rza was born in May of 2022, and Riot Rose was born in August of 2023. Okay. All right, let's see where we're going. Let's see. Michael. Let's see. Where am I going here? Some celebrities were born with the same name. Often one of them changes theirs to avoid confusions, but sometimes they just let it ride. I thought it was a rule in SAG and AFTRA that you had to change your name. You couldn't be the same person.
You have to change your name if it's already somebody in the union of that name.
Michael B. Jordan and Michael Jordan.
They're not the same people?
No. Michael B. is actually named after his father, not the Chicago Bulls legend. And his father says, quote, he didn't really care what he was going to put me through the first 26 years of my life. Albert Brooks was born Albert Einstein.
That I know.
Einstein or whatever. And he was named after the famous physicist, but he claims his parents would never tell him why. Okay. Actor Steve McQueen and director Steve McQueen.
Different guys.
Yeah. David Bowie was born David Jones. He changed his name so he wouldn't be confused with Davy Jones of the Monkees.
Totally understandable.
The Bowie came from a historical figure, Jim Bowie, who was played by Rich Widmark in the 1960 film The Alamo.
You can totally see why David Bowie would change his name, because on an artistic level, there's so many parallels between him and Davy Jones of the Monkees.
Yeah. Didn't David do that movie, Bowie's Big Adventure, back in the 80s, and they went to the basement of the Alamo?
Steve, I think everybody knows. There is no basement of the Alamo.
Randy Jackson. When American Idol debuted, Randy Jackson had a lot of people confused. Up until then, people only knew Randy Jackson as one of Michael's brothers and a member of the Jackson 5. But that Randy Jackson never toured with Journey or slapped bass on Blue Oyster Cult's Shooting Shark, right?
That's right.
Michael Keaton and Michael Douglas. This is like the David Bowie, Davy Jones thing. Keaton was actually born Michael Douglas.
Really?
Yeah. But since there was already a Michael Douglas in the Screen Actors Guild, he had to pick the new name. Katy Perry and Kate Hudson. Kate Perry's real name is Catherine Elizabeth Hudson. When her career took off, she took her mother's maiden name, Perry. This is all very interesting.
Wow.
Isn't it?
Could you go back to the ASAP Rocky story?
I know, right? Michelle Williams, the Destiny's Child singer and the actress known for such movies as The Fabelmans and Brokeback Mountain, have been getting confused with each other for years. But they only just met for the first time in April when Michelle, the actress, went to see Michelle the singer on Broadway in Death Becomes Her. Ladies, leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and... I like a good Destiny's Child.
I know you do. And why wouldn't you?
Let's see. Keith Urban will be awarded the Triple Crown at the ACMs. I didn't realize
he won the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes?
I know. I couldn't believe it. No, it's only given out to artists who have won New Artist of the Year, and Entertainer of the Year. The last time it was awarded was 2010 to Carrie Underwood, proving that nobody really knows what the hell this award is.
I'm a big fan of Carrie Undercarriage.
Is that her name? Carrie Undercarriage?
Isn't it?
I think it's Underwood.
All right.
Speaking of which, Kim Kardashian is reportedly launching a new fragrance line inspired by her most intimate memories. The first scent, Eau de Rage.
She must have something to say.
Oh my God, the last time I smelled something that strong and unfiltered was when Ray J turned my sin tunnel into a fog machine and left behind a trail of soul mist in that sex tape you can purchase on YouPorn for $39.95. I call it Hormones by Balenciaga. Notes of regret and silicone and that one sock we never found.
Caitlin.
Well, I never got that done and dirty with your mother, Chris Kim, but she once, she never remembered anything as potent, and she said, sure, we once spent a cozy weekend binge-watching our favorite classic shows together.
No, really, what'd you watch?
First up, it was that late-night puppet program about a woolly narcissist and his gimp roommate, the Lickety Split Show and the Gagbert and Sucky, with Gagbert and Sucky. You ever see the Lickety Split Show?
I haven't seen that one.
Then came the sitcom about a wacky dentist who moonlights as a relationship counselor on the radio, Dr. Feelthroat at WRIM in Shag City.
What else did you watch?
Finally, we closed the night with the gritty 80s cop drama where Dong Johnson and Benicio del Toro play vice cops undercover as massage clients in Miami Mice, the Cream Team Chronicles.
That was a great show.
Smells like Emmy Baton court depositions. All right, you're moaning with me. I don't even know how we can top any of this.
I don't think you can.
And that is your Hollywood trash on Rock 102.
Hey, it's Mike from Puffin Vapor and Leaf. You vape?
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, I don't mean to alarm anybody, but in basketball, the purpose of having home court advantage is to play in front of your fans in a familiar surrounding. It's not a complicated idea. That's why it becomes imperative to take advantage of that advantage. That way, advantage becomes advantageous. Are you following me here? Good. This, of course, is especially true in a 7-game playoff series in which your home court advantage shouldn't be working against you. Last night, the Boston Celtics allowed the New York Knicks to come back from a 20-point deficit to beat the Celtics in overtime at home during Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Now, you might wonder, Baxy, how does something like this happen? The Celtics are clearly the better team. How could they allow such a catastrophe to happen? That's the same question I was asking myself, and the answer is actually quite simple. You see, to win basketball games, one must be able to score points. The team that usually scores the most often wins. Last night, the Celtics decided to rely on shooting from behind the three-point line with an NBA playoff record 60 times. Unfortunately, of those 60 attempted three-point shots, they were only able to land 15 of them, meaning that they missed 45 times. That works out to a three-point percentage of just 25%. The Knicks only shot behind the three-point line 37 times. They landed 17, good for a 45% success rate. And yet, it was the Knicks that found other ways to win after being down by 20 points, whereas the Celtics kept relying on the thing that clearly wasn't working. Now, let me ask you this. If you were doing something that didn't work over and over again, would you A, keep doing it, or B, find something else that did? Me, I would try to find something else that worked instead, rather than saying to myself, hey, you know what would work great in this situation? Another three-point shot. At some point, I would have taken my home field advantage and switched things around and stopped relying on the very thing that's killing you. Let's hope that things are different tomorrow night for Game 2, because last night was awful. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. An Ego battery-powered lawnmower has all the cutting power of a gas mower without all that stinky gasoline. And it's expensive to run gasoline. You want to go to Rocky's, get an Ego mower, $5.99 with your Ace Rewards card. That's a hell of a deal. It includes the battery and charger, and you'll find it at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch. Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 6:14 and Sticks with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Oh, it gonna rain for sure. There's actually a flood watch in effect for all of western Massachusetts. It's a monsoon season here today. Heavy downpours with a high of 64. Tomorrow, more of the same with a high of 68. It's 57 right now in downtown Springfield.
Dan is calling for ponding on roadways and small river and stream flooding.
Ooh, ponding. I love, you know what? You get your fishing pole out and you can, I think you can catch some brown trout coming out of the Bondi's Island this time of year.
Oh, they're really biting today.
Yeah, hey. But it's I can't believe how much rain we've gotten. It's funny how, you know, last August and September and October, they were like, you can't burn anything because it's too dangerous because you could start a wildfire. And there were little brush fires starting up all over the place. Now it's like, hey, you can burn whatever you want if you can light it.
I mean, it's grill season, and this ruins all the great outdoor activities like grilling and physical activity.
Yeah, I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass because I cleaned up a bunch of stuff from my yard, mostly sticks.
Yeah,
and I put them in my fire pit, but it was too dry in the last couple of weeks to burn any of that stuff. And you know, as much as I'm a rule breaker, heartbreaker. Love Taker, don't you mess around with me. I don't want to risk, setting the woods on fire. That's not what my MO is.
Sure.
So I figured, okay, you know what? I'll wait till a rainy, when it's going to be raining, and then I'll burn these sticks. They're all dried, burned out sticks or whatever. Nothing big deal. I never covered it. I should have covered it. And now it's like, now I just got to pick it up and get rid of it into a brush pile.
Steve. That's why they have accelerants.
Yet, no, you can't use those either.
Says who?
Maybe the earthworms or the anybody else that's groundwater, well water.
Steve, when you're setting things on fire on your property during like a regular burning season, are you all that concerned with things like earthworms and the ground, or are you just looking to burn everything you got?
You know what? As I've become older, I do worry about that stuff.
You see, here's a little bit of nature information. I don't even know if you were aware of this. When things are burning, the things that live below the ground, bugs, earthworms, mutants from the alpha zone, whatever it may be, when they feel like there's something really hot from above, they move. They get out of the way. Last thing an earthworm wants to do is to cook underneath the ground.
I don't think you know how nature works.
It's exactly how nature works. It's fight or flight. It's about the survival of the fittest.
You want to hear something really ironic? I got birds nesting in the Kenny Rogers Roaster sign.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe they just saw the word roaster and figured this is a nice warm place we can set up with the kids here this spring.
Hey, if the chicken likes it here so much.
Yeah. Why can't we do it?
Are you going to remove the nesting?
No, I'm not going to remove the nesting.
Well, suppose they.
It's not doing it. They're not. They're sitting. It's like a little perch thing that they've.
Are they setting off the motion light?
No, they're not.
Well, thank God for that.
No.
Otherwise, it looked like a rave in your backyard.
It's not hurting anybody. They're just birds. They're just doing their bird thing. I have too much empathy for birds.
You do?
I have bird empathy.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Why?
Well, I don't know if you were aware of this. Birds have a certain migratory thing that they do every year, and during the rainy season they do come back. And I'm surprised you didn't know this, because I thought everybody knew about the bird.
Well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird is a word. Bird is a word. Bird is a word.
I know. As long as it's not harming anything, they're not going to be doing. There's no damage being done. I inspected the nest. I went to the zoning board in town and made sure that they had the proper permits to build that nest. And sure enough,
they asked for a continuance.
They asked for a continuance. They said, "Well, let us consult with Levesque and Sons out of Westfield and see how far we can take this."
We need to do an environmental study to see what's going on behind Steve Nagle's Rogers.
So there's nothing. It's not like they're burrowing into the garage or doing anything. So whatever. I'm like, let them have their little nest. Let them. Wait till the property values go up next year, though. They're going to be kicked out at the end of the season. That's for sure.
Homeless birds. That's why they migrate.
But we have had a lot of rain, and, there's always – this is only the beginning of the spring. We're not even into the summer months yet. We're not even into hurricane season. As a matter of fact, hurricane season, instead of an internet sensation to be lampooned or commented about, the next popular Karen could be a force of nature. Hurricane season officially kicks off on June 1st, and the World Meteorological Organization has a list of 21 names chosen ready in anticipation of the storms, and Karen is one of them. These poor people who were just named Karen and not they're not necessarily I want to speak to the manager type people.
Yeah. To be honest, of all the Karens that I know, and I know my fair share of actual Karens, none of them live up to the expectation of a quote-unquote Karen.
I don't know. I know a couple.
I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying that a large percentage of them would not speak ill of anybody, or would they be confrontational?
Well, some of the names used by the organization are repeated every 6 years, with the names for 2025 recycled from 2019's hurricane season. Not all the names used this year were used in 2019. Dexter replaces Dorian after Category 5 storm devastated Grand Bahama and the Great Abaco Islands, if I'm saying that right, before it shrank and made landfall close to North Carolina. 2 more names that were not used in 2019 or ever before since the naming process was overhauled to include both female and male names are Van and Wendy.
Wendy. Everyone knows
it's Wendy. Each year's hurricanes list features 21 instead of 26 because it's difficult to find 6 suitable names, one for each of the 6 rotating lists, starting with Q, U, X, Y, and Z. That is pretty hard to find names for that.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Dexter, Karen, Van, and Wendy, the following names have been chosen for the Atlantic hurricane season. Ready?
Yes.
Andrea or Andrea. I don't know how she prefers to be called.
It all depends. You'll have to ask.
Depends how hard she blows, if you know what I'm saying.
I know that's true.
Barry, Hurricane Barry.
Oh, that one'll kick your ass.
I've seen him walk into a room before and kick everybody's butt.
Hey, I saw him walk into a room on Friday night. He practically devastated the entire place.
Chantel.
Okay.
Chantel.
All right.
Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Fernand.
Okay.
Gabrielle.
Sure.
Humberto.
Humberto.
Yeah. Isn't it Humberto Albert in the Tijuana Brass Band?
Yes.
Yeah. Imelda.
Yeah.
Jerry.
Like Imelda Marco. So when it comes to shore, it's throwing shoes at you.
Yeah. Jerry.
Hurricane Jerry.
Lorenzo.
Uh-huh.
I'm coming in and blowing all your stuff away. Oh.
I'm thinking more like Lorenzo Lamas.
Yeah, I know, but it sounds very too Italian. Like we were talking about that wine festival last week.
Right.
I'm going to knock all over your wine glasses here. I'm Hurricane Lorenzo. I can suck and blow just like the rest of them.
Oh, boy.
Melissa.
Yes.
Nestor.
Olga.
Pablo.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca with an A-H, like the biblical
I gotcha,
name.
sure.
Sebastian.
I've seen them make a lot of blowhards.
Tanya. But they don't have the U, X, or V's. They just go, oh, wait a minute.
Well, you said Van.
Yeah, I know, but then they have, here we go. What is this one? In 2021, the organization opted to switch from the Greek letters to a list of supplemental names when storms take shape during a particular year. Adria, Braylon, Caridad, Deshawn, Emery, Foster, Gemma, Heath, Isla, Jacobus, Kenzie, Lucio, Michaela, Nolan, Orlando, Pax, Ronan, Sophie, Tayshawn, Viviana, and Will.
This sounds like the class lineup of any third grade class in America.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, this is all the new names that are coming out. Names are retired or withdrawn if a previous storm with a particular name causes massive damage. Particular names have been retired because of catastrophic hurricanes like Katrina, Sandy, Irma, and Maria. In 2024, the names Beryl, Helene, and Milton were retired.
Smart.
Well, no Hurricane Nagle.
No.
Hurricane Bax and Nagle. What's
ain't
going
gonna
on?
happen.
Why do they should do that? We should
because we're more like landlocked disaster areas.
Yeah, we're more tropical, low-level tropical storms.
Yeah, we're more like a shift in the fault line type of disaster.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, there's your hurricane names for 2025.
It's 6:24 with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
Men, is good enough really what you want with your sex life?
It's 6:28 with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
Dan Brown has the full monsoon rundown.
This week in Baxy's Musical Podcast, really excited about this interview with Paul Leary from the Butthole Surfers. For those of you who don't know that band, you may recall their 1996 hit Pepper. They were one of the great live bands of all time. They got a brand new record out. It's actually a live record called Live from the Leather Fly. That comes out very, very soon. And also a brand new documentary about the band. That was shown at South by Southwest, but we talk about his production career, working with John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. Unbelievable conversation. You can hear it on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, rock102.com, as well as on the app, and it's all brought to you by Metro Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. It should be in Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Yeah, you open for interviews again?
It's a long story, but we getting there.
You know, I saw the IT guy in the hall yesterday, and he was just full of light and laughter, and he was like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, Derek, how are you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't know how you still have that smile on your face."
After working at Bax's laptop for the last 3
Yeah.
weeks, I would think that you would be willing to start throwing haymakers at people.
You know what? Somebody who's that happy after this amount of time working here might be a sociopath.
I don't think he is.
Don't know that.
I think he's a genuinely nice guy.
It's like that neighbor that's always acting nice all the time, but deep down he's got some like bodies hidden in the basement or something like that.
He hasn't shown that yet.
I don't know.
I'm not holding my breath.
Good.
I'm trying to think positively.
You ready to laugh?
Yes.
Let's laugh.
It's Bax and Nagle's Joke of the Day
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you.
on Rock 102,
I make you laugh.
Springfield's classic rock.
A guy walks into a church confessional and says to the priest, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I was with 7 different women last night."
7?
Mm-hmm. And the priest is silent for a moment and then says, "Go home and cut 7 lemons in half. Squeeze the juice into a glass and drink it down in one gulp." And the guy goes, "And all will be forgiven?" And he goes, "No, but it'll wipe that effing smirk off your face." Oh, you see? 'Cause he was... Can't believe a priest swore like that in a confessional.
Unbelievable.
Jealous.
Bax and Nagle in the morning on Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Here's your
6:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news, and it's brought to you by Freedom Credit Union. Freedom is yours. Is local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. I just want to point out that 22 News has that Julia O'Keefe, she's like a reporter,
Yes.
standing out in the pouring rain, reporting that the Smithland Pet and Garden Centers are closing all are closing all locations after 40 years in business. Is it necessary to send somebody outside in the rain at 6 o'clock in the morning when
Well-
the store doesn't even open until like 9 anyway?
Well, of course it's important. How else would people possibly understand a store closing story?
I have no idea.
We've never seen anything like that before in these parts.
Smithland Pet and Garden Centers has announced that it'll be closing all 13 of its stores in Western Mass and Connecticut by the end of June. Didn't they just buy all the Daves?
Yes.
Most of the Dave's locations?
Most of the Dave's locations.
After 40 years of providing pet garden and backyard supplies to the region, the company announced on Monday its decision to close down all retail locations, citing persistent inflation, economic challenges, and fierce market competition. Smithland's parent company, CT Gardens, ultimately chose to liquidate the business, formerly known as My Agway and Dave's Soda in Pet City. Smithland has been a resource for a variety of home and animal products in New England. For decades, the store has served as community hubs where the customers could shop for pet supplies, garden foods, bird feed, and more. CT Gardens CEO John Atkins said that the business will plan to close between now and the end of June.
Now, the sad part about this is, there's a lot of local people working in those locations, and you hate to see them put out of work. But I don't think Dave is going to buy those buildings back and get back into business. My understanding after spending some time with Dave over the last couple months is he's doing pretty good selling his food online.
I don't think he even realizes he used to own pet stores.
Dave is still very much 100% coherent.
He's a lucid rat.
He is lucid as ever and relaxed and happy.
This does suck. I mean, you're talking about economic impact for the region with all these people who have worked there. So hopefully they can find other jobs. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Retail is tough. Not simple anymore.
Let's talk about scumbags.
Okay.
A Holyoke
That's
man.
a switch.
A Holyoke man registered as a level 1 sex offender was charged with possession of child pornography on Monday. Charging documents stated that 34-year-old Justin Ouimet was first convicted of possession of child pornography in Mass Superior Court in October of 2022. In July of 2024, law enforcement conducted a search warrant of Ouimet's home in Holyoke and found over 200 files depicting child pornography. These files on Ouimet's electronic devices allegedly, I'm not even going to go into what they found, but Ouimet was issued a probation violation on July 25th of 2024. He was sentenced to 1 year of incarceration, which he is currently serving For possessing child pornography as a registered sex offender, he faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years and up to 20 years in prison, as well as 5 years of supervised release.
Well, he's where he needs to be.
I guess so. An investigation is underway at the South Hadley High School after suspected vandalism was found in the auditorium area on Monday morning. In a letter sent to the parents and caregivers of high school students, Superintendent Mark McLaughlin stated that the auditorium area had sustained damage over the weekend due to suspected vandalism. The school district is working with police during the investigation. 22 News contacted South Hadley Police Chief Gunderson for additional information and will update the story as soon as more details are released.
We don't know what kind of vandalism we're talking about. There's like a senior prank type of thing.
What I'm talking about. Why even bother reporting on the story if you don't know anything about it? There's people who take pictures all the time. Go online and find these people with the Facebook pictures and say, hey, look, this is what happened to our school over the weekend.
I mean, vandalism, can come in many, many forms. I mean, it's, one thing to say, like, rip the seats out of the floor or, tear down a curtain. It's another thing to be drawing pee-pees and wee-wees on the wall with spray cans of paint. That would let us know. We can handle it.
I don't know why they don't do any of this stuff.
I don't know. And there's a chance the school doesn't want to allow them in to take pictures or video or what have you.
But I mean, there's got to be some kids who took pictures and showed their parents.
Maybe.
If you're one of those parents and have those pictures of the vandalism, we'd like to see that. Their thing is report it at 22news.com.
Right.
We are report twits at rock102.com.
Yes. Yes, we could go with that. Had we not been licensed by the FCC, I might have taken it one step further.
Well, that's why I was trying to hold my that was one thing one guy pointed out about the show on Friday night, that he was finally glad to see the things we can't talk about on Rock 102 during the day, on the air anyway. Because there were some pretty touchy subjects that got mentioned there.
Touchy?
Yeah, touchy.
If people got that touchy in public, you'd be put in jail. There were some very insensitive subjects.
Well, you know what?
I laughed.
But that's what comedy is all about.
I laughed because I'm dead inside. But for other people.
There was other people who laughed.
Sure.
Or there was more of a, ooh.
But did you notice, though, it wasn't just you?
Yeah, it was everybody.
I mean, Marty was doing it. Fitzy was doing it.
Yeah.
I was doing it around the table.
You were doing it. Why were you doing it?
That's just what I do.
Oh, you like to get other people riled up?
Before the show, I wanted to kind of warm up the table.
Well, that was just the meatballs. Ooh. Anyway, a woman in Hadley was arrested and charged with operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated, despite warnings from law enforcement less than an hour earlier. The Hadley Police Department said that just before 2 a.m. on Monday, officers received a report in North Hadley regarding a disturbance at a residence. A woman involved in the incident was impaired by alcohol and was trying to find a sober ride home and decided to stay the night at the residence. Hadley officers warned the woman before leaving the residence that if she attempted to drive home while intoxicated, she could be arrested. The officer, they're serious about that when they tell you.
You sure it's not just a suggestion?
No. The officers did not have legal authority to seize the keys or tow the vehicle of the impaired individuals because the disturbance did not take place at her home. Police said that approximately 20 minutes later, the officers received a hang-up 911 call originating from the area where the altercation took place. Upon returning to the residence, they discovered the car belonging to the intoxicated woman was gone. The woman was observed driving up the street and abruptly pulled into an adjacent driveway when she saw police cruisers approaching the vehicle. Officers observed the driver, identified as 32-year-old Karina Labonte of Hadley, and to have slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, and a heavy alcoholic odor. All right. Not good. Police say Labonte was uncooperative with police and refused to follow commands, even attempting to walk away from the officer. She was arrested and charged with OUI liquor, or wee liquor. Wee. OUI, wee.
That's the French version.
Wee. I have had many drinks tonight.
I have wee-weed my pants as a result.
This is an injustice.
Now, when they say uncooperative, did they not see that coming after she ignored the first suggestion? Like, okay, now we got to go get her. She's going to be agitated because she just doesn't listen.
Bax. She's a woman. I mean, how many of them are really cooperative?
Some of them are quite
Some
cooperative.
Are they really?
Yes, they are.
Name 5.
Ooh, boy. I didn't think I was going to be a quiz.
Well, you have to name your wife as one cooperative.
Well, that was going to be the first one, yes.
And then maybe some close friends or something like that.
My mom, my sister.
Right, but beyond that.
Yes.
Yeah. You're a smart man and not naming.
Yeah, but then I got to come up with 2 more.
Yeah, I know. Well,
all right, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law. How about that, okay?
Scott Cohen. Scott Cohen. He's a cooperative lady. I mean, he's got that beautiful martini tattoo on his wrist.
I have heard him say it's wine o'clock.
Let's see. The next time your parent complains about not knowing how to order something online, you can say it's so easy even a 7-year-old can do it. A woman in Kentucky. Kentucky woman, she got to know you. Ooh, another Neil Diamond tune.
Yeah, I know.
Named Holly says her second grader ordered 30 cases of Dum Dum suckers on Amazon. Each case has 2,340 lollipops, which means she was getting more than 70 lollipops for nearly $4,000. She contacted Amazon as soon as she realized what happened, and initially they were okay about it. A rep said she could just refuse the delivery and they'd refund her money, but when the driver came...
When he arrived with the dum-dums.
No, when the driver came with the suckers... They didn't just knock. They didn't knock and stacked all the cases on her front porch. And once they were delivered, Amazon said they couldn't take them back. Maybe because they were a food item. I don't know. She told the story on social media and a few news stations, and people started ordering boxes from her to help her out. She managed to sell all of them. Eventually, Amazon reached out and said they'd refund her money either because they were taking some heat or because she was working with her bank to resolve it, since they wouldn't. Amazon wasn't taking the suckers back, so Holly told her Dum Dum buyers that she'd donate their money, or if the suckers no longer wanted them. She says she will change some settings on her phone so this does not happen again.
That's a smart idea.
It's unclear if her son got to keep any of the Dum Dums.
I think you can keep some of the dum-dums, but not all of the dum-dums.
You see all these cases ready stacked in front of her door.
How many cases were there?
What did it say? Eat 30 cases. I mean, they're small. They're small little lollipops.
Still.
2,340 lollipops.
You got to really like dum-dums to order that many.
I'm not a big lollipop fan.
I always find, that being stuck with the stick is problematic for me. Like, what do you do with the stick?
I like the blow pops with the bubble gum inside.
Hey, Steve, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of that?
1, 2, 3. 3. I think that's a Tootsie Pop anyway.
Yeah, whatever.
Tootsie Pops are disgusting. I never liked Tootsie Rolls at all. Those are just... There's something gross about them.
Yeah. When I was a kid, there was a shoe store in Attleboro.
Yeah.
That whenever you bought shoes, and you had to buy the shoes, every kid got a free Tootsie Roll.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you went and, they didn't have your size or, you didn't like any of the shoes that they were bringing out to you, you didn't like the Buster Browns they were showing you, you didn't get the Tootsie Roll. Yeah. Unless you cried like a little whiny bitch, and then all of a sudden they gave you as many Tootsie Rolls as you wanted.
Oh, really?
That's how I did it.
There you go. You know what?
Shoes or no shoes, Baxy's getting a Tootsie Roll.
What better way to say we don't want your business again than by giving out Tootsie Rolls at the end of the shopping experience? Hey, we want you to come back, but we don't want you to come back. Here's a Tootsie Roll for your purchase that you just made.
Here's the most disappointing candy for your child.
You know, I was with my friend one time, Dudley, and we were at this bike shop. And this guy who sold bike shops, he had us go in the back room of the bike shop to show us cartoons and eat ice cream with our shirts off.
Yeah.
He looked like the guy that was the boss on WKRP, and I can't remember his name.
Gordon Jump?
He looked like Gordon Jump.
He looked like Gordon Jump.
Yeah.
Steve, I think what you're describing is that very special episode of Different Strokes.
Well, here, is it really?
Yes.
That wasn't my experience?
No.
Because I used to say to my older brother, "What you talking about, Willis?"
No, Steve, I think that is from a very special
Different
Strokes.
You know, the man was right. watching dirty cartoons and eating ice cream with your shirt off is the best way to enjoy those two things.
You know, Steve, the world don't move to the beat of just one drum.
Well, you're right. I mean, what might be right for you may not be right for some.
You know, there was a man who was born, he's a man of means. And along come two, they got nothing but the genes.
But they got different strokes it takes, different strokes it takes, different strokes to move the world. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today is going to be rainy with a high of 64. There's a flood watch in effect for all of western Massachusetts. Ponding could happen.
I like a good ponding.
You like ponding?
I've been pondering all day.
Tomorrow, more of the same with a high of 69 giggity. It's 57 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
To Springfield's Classic Rock. It's just about 6:56, and Jimi Hendrix of Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Monsoon is here today. Flood watch is in effect for all of western Massachusetts. Rainy, downpours heavy at times, high of 64. Tomorrow, more of the same with a high of 69 giggity. It's 57 right now in downtown Springfield.
There's a wicked cool event coming up in East Hartford this Saturday, the Rising Pint Brew Fest at Rentschler Field in East Hartford. Pat Kelly's going to have tickets for you all week long. It's one of the best lineups in New England, over 75 craft breweries, food from Greater Hartford's best restaurants, food trucks, and live music. Going to be a great, great time. Pat's got those tickets for you this afternoon from Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
I'm reading this article out of the New York Post from yesterday. The federal government has secretly spent trillions building an elaborate network of subterranean cities where the rich and powerful can shelter during a near extinction event, a former Bush White House official sensationally has claimed. About 170 such bunkers have been built across the country since 1998, including some resting beneath the oceans off the U.S. coast. That's according to 74-year-old Catherine Austin Fitz told Tucker Carlson during a recent appearance on his podcast. Well, I mean, if it's on the Tucker Carlson podcast, it's got to be true. And just preparation for catastrophe, Fitz said, according to Realtor.com. Fitz, who has served as an assistant secretary of housing and urban development under President George Bush from 1989 to 1990, claimed that $21 trillion in taxpayer money was funneled into the project between 1998 and 2015. She provided no evidence for her claims, but said a 2017 report from Michigan State University economist Mark Skidmore indicated that much unauthorized spending had been uncovered across the Departments of Defense and Housing and Urban Development during that time. After 2 years of combing through records related to already documented underground military bases, Fitz says she also looked into allegations of a wider bunker network. You know, and then they're showing, pictures of what it might look like and all this other stuff. Here's the thing. If you have a near extinction event, I don't want to live through that. If there's an asteroid that's going to come and destroy everything.
Right.
Because I really don't think that they would say anything if that was going to happen.
You don't think so?
Nope. I don't think so for one bit. But even if you had a human force, like a nuclear war or something like that, I want to be near the epicenter.
Actually,
I want that thing right here, right on this.
In a case like an extinction event, I would want that thing to land right on my head.
Yeah, I don't want to live through the aftermath or try to survive through that. That's a ridiculous thing, and to want to live in an underground city.
Did you ever see the film Beneath the Planet of the Apes?
Yes.
All right, this is the one where you got all these fleshy-headed mutants from the Alpha Zone living underneath all the cities and stuff.
Yeah,
like the destroyed New York. I hate to ruin the movie for you folks, but New York is now like a desolate wasteland, more so than it is now, and everyone's living in like the subways.
Yeah,
who wants to live that way?
Nobody wants to live
all the restaurants are closed. The delis, you can't get any pastrami sandwiches. You can't get anything like that. I don't want to live like that.
She's also claiming that there's a elaborate transportation system. I know we don't have time. While claiming they're powered by a secret energy system known only to the military. Well, I mean, for every rumor, there is probably some sort of truth to it. I don't think you can deny that there are some like underground bunker. They've been doing this since the Cold War, building underground bunkers and all that stuff.
Even before then.
But like, why would you want to live beyond that? Like you just said, underneath the ground and.
Yeah. There's nothing to do. There's no TV shows. All the restaurants are closed. No, I'm all right.
These rich people, and their money. It's like...
And you know what? If you spend all your money to live in an underground bunker, well, what are you going to do with the rest of your money?
Yeah.
Or is it going to cost you all your money?
Well, I mean, it was no secret. Jeff Bezos was building something in the mountains. Remember that there's that whole thing that he's... Like,
it's a fulfillment center.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
In the mountains?
In the mountains.
Well, I guess you're going to have to deliver those packages underground when doomsday comes around.
It's 7 o'clock. Am I the A-hole? Coming up in just a few minutes on Rock 102.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, here's a fact. If I had a lot of money, which I don't, or had the chance to accumulate a lot of money through a series of shrewd investments, which I haven't, then the last thing I would want to do is let everybody know about it. You see, despite my beloved public persona, I'm a rather private, quiet fella. I would prefer not to share all of my financial information unless I'm required to do so by law. However, if my personal financial information were to be mischaracterized in the media, I'd be okay with that depending on what they were saying. Last week, former boxing champion Floyd Mayweather filed a $100 million defamation lawsuit against Business Insider for misrepresenting his financial holdings. Floyd, whose estimated net worth is $1.1 billion, is suing the website for claiming that his purchase of a 62-building apartment portfolio in Manhattan never occurred and that his claims of making that purchase were a total fabrication. Floyd is accusing the reporter of failing to read the documentation that proves that the sale did in fact happen. He believes this is an attempt to discredit his reputation. You might recall that in 2022, Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports filed a lawsuit against Business Insider for defamation for publishing false assault allegations against him. That lawsuit was dismissed by a Boston judge claiming that their crap reporting failed to reach the legal threshold for actual defamation. Nevertheless, Floyd Mayweather is not only seeking $100 million in damages, he's also seeking a public retraction and a ruling prohibiting further harassment. Now, he's probably not going to get all that, but to be honest, I'd rather have a reporter report on things that I don't have rather than on the things that I do. But that's just me, because other than a stack of Rock 102 t-shirts in my record collection, I really don't have all that much to lie about. But when you're Floyd Mayweather and your entire reputation is built on how much more you have than anybody else, then it's time to strap on the gloves and start throwing haymakers until you get justice, because that sort of effrontery cannot stand. But hey, never mind yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. You grill? Well, you gotta go to Rocky's Ace Hardware. Not just because of the famous grills like Weber, Traeger, and the Big Green Egg. Not just because of the Uni pizza ovens and Blackstone griddles. You're gonna get all the grilling gear at Rocky's too. Tools and utensils and premium charcoal and wood pellets. If you grill, you gotta love Rocky's. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock at 712 and Queen with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It gonna rain. Heavy downpours at times today. Flood watch in effect for all of western Massachusetts. Ponding. You ever get a good ponding?
I've been ponding for months.
Yeah, ponding could be happening. High is 64. It is 57 right now in downtown Springfield. How about another round of Am I the A-hole?
Yes.
With a guest opinionist, or whatever you want to call him.
A guest host?
A guest. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. It's Chris Marion from Chris Marion Photography.
Good morning.
How you doing, pal?
Morning. I'm doing very well, thank you.
You know, it's always good to have a good friend here in the studio.
It is.
Haven't
This
had
is
one
nice.
in years.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great way to sneak your way in and promote your business.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will ferret my way. You know. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned this to me last week, and I said, yeah, why don't you come in on Tuesday? And then I just didn't tell Bax, the co-host of the show, why, because it wouldn't be important anyway.
It's not really important for me to know what's going on.
He's on a need-to-know basis, and he doesn't need to know.
Well, it's me, right?
Yeah,
so
it's you.
It's okay.
Yeah, you're a
kinda
friend
like,
of the...
what's the big deal?
I mean, if you brought in a total stranger, that would be something different.
That's true.
So we come in, you're going to give your little 2 cents on each one that we do here.
All right.
this morning.
I'm
Ready?
happy to do that.
All right, number one.
Number one.
Am I the a-hole for using my dead aunt's urn as a flower vase because she always wanted to be part of my centerpiece? So my Aunt Sharon passed away last year, and I inherited her ashes. She was dramatic, loved being the center of attention, and always said, when I'm gone, don't stick me in a dark corner. I want to be where the action is. So I did just that. I found this beautiful glass vase at Home Goods that matched my dining room perfectly. I poured her ashes in it, arranged some fake tulips on top, and voila! Sharon became my spring centerpiece. I even tied a little bow around the neck of the vase and wrote, Forever Blooming. That does sound like a very Home Goods-like shopper thing to do.
Yeah, it's a very Hobby Lobby thing.
My cousin lost her S at Easter dinner. She said it was disrespectful, tacky, and that Sharon wasn't a damn decoration. And I said, well, she wasn't invited to brunch either, but look, she made it. And now the family's split between thinking it's sweet and I'm the ash hole.
Oh, I see what you did.
Yeah. So am I the a-hole is what she's asking.
Well, Chris Marion is our guest. I feel like you should go first on this one, Chris.
Well, the first big concern that I have here, the problem with this is that they're faked flowers.
Yeah.
Like are they they're plastic tulips or something?
You can't really grow real flowers in ashes.
Well,
you can't water the ashes.
Yeah.
Well,
otherwise your aunt comes back to life.
She gets reconstituted.
Yes.
We have reconstituted. Was it Sharon? Was that her?
Yeah, Sharon.
Yeah. I think that this is what the aunt wanted. That's what I'm thinking.
See, I think you need a little more information here because the aunt says, "I want to be where the action is." A flower pot to me isn't really where the action is. You want to take it like a speedway or it's something with like explosives. I mean, that's where if you want to go where the action is, being part of fake plants isn't really action.
Well, not from your perspective, but if you were 80-year-old Aunt Sharon on her deathbed, any kind of action might be.
You have to fulfill the wishes of the person who's passing away.
Right.
So
right.
She did. She fulfilled it. She put her on the table during Easter dinner, and I think the cousin is really the a-hole here.
Well, I mean,
complaining about
sounds a little uptight.
Unless the definition of action is put me in a situation in which I can cause the most amount of calamity within the family, then it's a success.
She did it.
Yeah.
That worked out good.
All right.
Well,
I'm glad we got to that one.
And the other guy's the a-hole.
Number two. Am I the a-hole for telling my coworker's baby it was a mistake? So I was severely hungover at work, and my coworker brought in her newborn to show everyone, and people were cooing and the baby talking like idiots. I was clutching my coffee and trying not to vomit on the floor, and the baby locked eyes with me, just deadpan like it knew. So I leaned in real low and whispered, "You weren't planned, were you?" The baby laughed, like a big gummy smile and everything. And my coworker overheard it and thought I was joking until she realized I wasn't. She had told me in confidence the baby was a condom oops during a drunken camping trip. And now she's mad. HR is involved, and people are acting like I traumatized the baby. The baby can't even talk. Baby has no self-awareness. And now she's mad. HR is involved, and people are acting like I traumatized the kid. Was I wrong? So am I the a-hole for saying that?
Our guest, Chris Marion,
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, this is a tough one for me because,
I think these are made up.
I question that. But you know what? I that sounds like something in my previous life, in corporate life, I might have done. Because that's just, I have that sort of sense of humor, but I would like to think that my coworkers would have been a little okay with it. So it sounds like if this person wants to quote unquote vomit, they probably are the a-hole here. They're probably being malicious.
What's worse, saying you may have been a mistake, or confronting a baby who is particularly ugly and saying you are the ugliest baby I've ever seen? What would be worse in a situation like that? I'd say pointing out the ugly baby would probably be worse. There are so many things that could have been worse here.
I actually think the coworker is the a-hole for sharing personal information that she shouldn't have been sharing at work anyway. That's an HR violation. Yeah, we had a mistake, 100%. Baby, because the condom broke on a camping trip.
Wait. You said condom oops.
Or condom oops.
So
I don't know what that means.
I'm wondering what that is. I mean, that could be that could be any number of things.
It doesn't mean breakage. Could have been slippage.
Yeah, this is a subplot we need to dive into.
I mean, there's information as we need a little few more
Did it
details.
Fall off? Did it break? Was there? Yeah.
I don't want to get into even where I'm going with this.
I mean, is it possible that the condom could have been the wrong size?
It's entirely possible.
Maybe the father should have bought petites.
Yeah, he went out and bought magnums because he's like, check what I got, honey. Yeah. And then he turns it on. It's like, yeah,
he's not even hitting the sides.
It's like trying to put a balloon in a big Glad bag.
Right. It was a Pat Oswald said throwing my golf pencil down the mine shaft.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly
pencil
what
down the mine shaft. That's what that is.
You ready for another one?
Yes, number 3.
Here's one. Photography. We can tie a photography kind of thing into it. Am I the a-hole?
This isn't about me, is it? Though.
No, it's not.
Oh, thankfully.
Unless you,
we'll find out soon.
Well, yeah, we'll find out soon enough. It's not about a photographer, but
all right.
We can tie some aspects into it. Right. Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister's dog be the ring bearer at my wedding? So my 27 female fiance and I, 29, are getting married in September. We're planning a small, semi-formal outdoor ceremony at a historic garden venue. It's really beautiful, and we're keeping it pretty traditional. Nothing too over the top, just classy and simple. Enter my sister, 31, who is obsessed with her dog, a golden retriever named Waffles. She treats him like her child, which is fine, but whatever. A few weeks ago, she told me she wants Waffles to be the ring bearer at the wedding, like dressed in a tiny tuxedo, walking down the aisle with the rings tied to his back. I laughed at first and I said I didn't even think the venue allowed pets. She got very serious and said she already checked they do as long as the dog is leashed and supervised. I told her no, it just doesn't fit the vibe we're going for, and I didn't want a dog in our ceremony, even a well-behaved one. She's flipping out now, and said I was being controlling and that I hate fun. She even posted some passive-aggressive stuff on Instagram and Facebook about how some people don't understand the bond between a girl and her dog. My mom is on her side and says it's just one little thing, and I should compromise because it's important to her, but it's my wedding, and I just want it to be simple and human only. So am I the a-hole? And from a photographer's perspective, I mean, how hard is it to get the dog to pose for a picture during a wedding?
Well, it depends. First of all, it's important to note that nobody in the world should dislike a dog named Waffles. Waffles on their own premise, but a dog named Waffles, come on.
It's an adorable name.
Yeah, and it's a golden retriever. They're the best dogs in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I've known some pretty rambunctious golden retrievers.
Well, it's their nature. They're just fun-loving dogs.
Until you get to the reception, then all of a sudden the dog's drinking from the toilets, it's eating its own puke. I mean, that's no way to have a reception.
This is fair.
I don't understand why the sister has any say in somebody else's wedding.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
To me, that she's being the a-hole.
Yeah, when you get married, and we've all been married, it's really about your wife and not about you or anything else.
This is 100% accurate. And
100%.
100%. And whenever I talk to, I don't really photograph weddings, but when I talk to people about them, I make sure the groom just completely understands. And honestly, all the grooms are kind of like, yes. Yes, Kentucky Derby's on.
So glad I'm not involved.
Yes, I'll be down at the bar.
I just have to show up.
Right.
I was in a friend's wedding, and it was during I think it was during the Yankees Red Sox playoffs back in like 2002 or 3.
Bad
or something
time
like
to get
that.
married. What are you thinking?
Yeah, and nobody was upstairs during the reception because we were all downstairs in the bar at it was a country club in Agawam. I can't remember which one, but we were downstairs in the bar getting drunk and watching the ball game.
It's like getting married on Super Bowl Sunday. Who does that?
I was at a wedding years ago in Green Bay, and it was Green Bay preseason, and they got married on a Saturday during a Green Bay preseason game. 400 people at this wedding, 300 of which were watching the TV in the bar.
They were.
And the bride's mother was incensed that we all wanted to watch a preseason football game rather than the wedding that they spent tens of thousands of dollars on.
Maybe the bride's mother was from Chicago.
Probably. Probably.
You know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Yes, one of those.
Could
NFC,
be.
Yeah. Those,
It's the rivalry of
rival
course.
cities.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
Yeah.
All right, you want one more?
One more.
All right. Am I the a-hole for putting my fiance's sex tape with his ex on our wedding registry so everyone really knows that I'm forgiving or what I'm forgiving? So about a month before our wedding, I found out my fiance's old sex tape with his ex is still floating around online. I confronted him, and he said he was young and didn't know it was still out there. I forgave him, kind of. But if I have to live with that haunting my Google search, so do my bridesmaids. So I put it online on our online registry. Not the tape itself, but a link to the TMZ article and a little note that said, before you buy us a new toaster, consider what I'm accepting in marriage. Ooh.
Ooh, yes.
He said I was being cruel. I said I was being transparent. His mom called me vindictive and said she's the one who raised a man who finishes in under a minute on camera. This is where I believe these are fake. Wow. This is fake. Now half the registry is empty. His family wants to cancel the wedding, and my mom thinks I should seek closure in private. But I mean, is full disclosure really that bad?
Yeah,
Am I the a-hole?
It may be fake, but I mean, there's enough sex tapes out there that are floating around online where it could potentially be real.
Yeah, but she's saying a link to a TMZ article.
Yeah, see, that's
that
probably
kind
not
of
gonna
blows the.
Well, unless this is like, was this Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson, or was it Tommy Lee?
Yeah, Tommy Lee.
Yeah, so I don't know. It sounds, well, first of all, if it is on TMZ, then the dude's famous, right?
I would
in
think
theory.
so. Famous enough for a sex tape to be leaked online.
Right. It sounds like they are a fun-loving couple, though, because to be honest, if she's doing that, I'm thinking that they have a level of relationship there where it's like, you know, we're just she's not ashamed of it. You know, but she is kind of the a-hole for doing it.
Do you offer this kind of filming service in case anybody wanted?
I am strictly a still photographer.
Still photography.
Yeah,
no
I
moving
draw the
pictures.
lines. Very few. I don't even do the TikTok, as the kids say.
You're like the Larry Flint, though, of local photography.
I am absolutely not that guy.
Well, you never know. You never know.
He'd never work at the NBA again if that were the case.
That's
well, we
fair.
were talking earlier about people, you know, like the IT guy. Yeah, nice guy, always, putting out this vibe like, hey, everything's going to be all right today, man. You never know what's going on in people's worlds. That's what I'm saying.
I appreciate
You're a
that,
happy-go-lucky photographer guy. You could be doing some dark shiznit behind closed doors and nobody even knows.
I could be. But you know.
I mean,
that's
legal stuff.
Well,
I'm
geez,
not
of course it's legal. Yeah, and that's important. That's more important than anything, really. But
I wonder how much business you could get if you say, I'm a photographer who also makes sex tapes on the sides.
There might be photographers locally that do that. I'm not saying I know any.
I don't think there's enough space in your business card for that.
No, that's not. That's not something I want to do. I think
not publicly.
No,
right. I completely. I'm disavowing any knowledge or.
Well, there you go.
There
That's
you go.
Am I the A-hole with our guest, Chris Marion.
Great to have you.
It was great to be here.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the A-hole.
Let's never do this again.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
That's fantastic
I'm
fun.
kidding.
That's
I'm
fine.
kidding.
Come on.
Yeah.
Now who's the a-hole?
You're right.
I'm kidding.
Nagel.
Like you needed to ask.
Nagel, please.
It's 727 at Rock 102. Rock 102.
Dan Brown has the full forecast and the flood watch that's in effect.
Yes, so there is that. And, of course, we got news coming up next to Rock 734. With Bax and Nagle and Rock 102, it's time for news brought to you by Yankee Home. Yankee Home Improvement. If you're looking for a new walk-in shower system, call Yankee Home and mention Rock 102. Get $1,021 off plus 50% off installation all month long. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. One Springfield resident continues to clean up from Saturday's storm. Across parts of western Massachusetts, the storm ran through areas which threw down trees, branches, and some areas even power lines. It got really dark, and I was sitting in my living room. All of a sudden, the wind came in really hard. Noises were crazy. My son came piling up from downstairs, said Barbara Flaherty of Springfield. As Western Mass News traveled through Wilbraham into Springfield, the news crew saw less damage, but Flaherty said that Saturday's storm spread branches all around her yard and neighborhood. This was definitely intense, very loud, very quick. It happened so fast, probably within a minute, and it was kind of done. much like my first marriage. It may have been a minute or two for some, but the storm left plenty of fallen debris.
Steve, I believe the word is debris.
This is the only reason why I did this story, is to say the word debris.
That's it?
Yeah. The trees were in the road, so we had to come out in the pouring rain before it stopped. There was some in the road over there. As the Western Mass news crew made their way through the neighborhood, Flaherty's husband was still working to clean up debris, especially ahead of the expected rain this week. We started yesterday, but it's supposed to rain for the next 4 days, so it'll take us a while to get rid of it. If anyone wants free firewood. These are the hard-hitting stories we're doing in Western Mass.
And you're only doing it because of the word debris.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that. Is that wrong?
No, it's not wrong.
Talking about that woman in Hadley the other night. A woman was arrested on weed charges after police responded to a disturbance Monday morning.
We or O-U-I?
I thought it was pronounced we.
Well, that's the French pronunciation, but here in America, we say O-U-I.
But we are very, very drunk. Police arrived at a home in North Hadley and realized that 32-year-old Karina Labonte was under the influence and could not drive home, but police left, and then 20 minutes later, they were back in the area responding to a hung-up 911 call and discovered that Labonte and her car were gone. Somebody done did that on purpose.
What do you mean?
Call 911 and they hang up even though they had just been there, just to let them know that this lady left. Officers quickly located Labonte driving up the street and caught up with her in a neighbor's driveway. Officials said she had slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, and smelled of alcohol. This is Holyoke behavior. This is not Hadley.
You don't see that here in Hadley. We're a much nicer town than this.
They said she refused to follow commands and tried to walk away from the scene. She was eventually placed under arrest. They gave you a chance.
Is Uber not available in Hadley on a particular night? Is there like a Uber free night?
Maybe.
If the cops tell you, hey, whatever you do, don't drive home, it's usually a pretty good indication they don't want you driving home.
Yeah, because they know that you're cocked. You're wee-wee.
She's wee-weed herself.
An investigation is underway at Amherst Regional Middle School after an altercation last week left parents and staff injured. The school was put under a shelter in place until police were able to get things under control. Western Mass News heard from the school district's leader and one of the parents involved, and there is a new message for family members in the community. Thursday turned into turmoil at Amherst Regional Middle School. Staff, students, and their parents were involved in a fight over an alleged assault of a young black student earlier in the day. A parent, who will remain unidentified, was called to pick up her daughter, the alleged victim. She painted a picture of what happened when she got to the school. When I got out of the car, they were looking at me strange, and so out of curiosity, I asked them, hey, are you the girls who attacked my daughter in the bathroom? And immediately the mother responded to me with, don't point your fingers at them or we're going to have a problem. And then fingers may have been pointed, but then came the alleged blows.
Oh, boy.
After she said that, all hell broke loose. Hell was so hot, the school was put into shelter in place and the police were called.
What? Hell was so hot?
What am I missing here?
I don't know. But what kind of role modeling is this for the kids?
I don't know, but why are they saying hell was so hot the school was put into shelter in place and the police were called? What does that even mean?
I don't even know. I'm going to assume that that's something that is probably not all that important, other than the fact that now there's a fisticuffs between parents.
Yeah. Dr. E. Ziomara Herman, paging Dr. Herman, paging Dr. Ziomara Herman.
You have a telephone call at the front desk.
That's the superintendent of the Amherst Pelham Regional School District shared that police collected statements that day. See? It's all, we always get something new to drum up with these folks. Whether it be Police Chief Robert Stacks over there or Stock over in Longmeadow, or Dr. Herman paging Dr. Herman. You have a telephone call at the front desk. Police collected statements that day. They worked with our staff to identify any recordings and are completely moving forward with their investigation. Hearings are currently being held at the school for parents, staff, and students involved in the incident, but that scuffle isn't the only sour situation this parent claims to have faced in the school. In her original letter, she claimed, from the very first day, it felt like an uphill battle with staff seemingly intent on pushing her out as if she doesn't belong. The registrar made the enrollment process unnecessarily difficult, dragging it out for several days despite having all the required documents. Dr. Herman, paging Dr. Herman, you have a telephone call at the front desk, gave the district's point of view about the parents' residency concerns. Investigating claims that were brought forth. The allegation was that the family did not live at the residence to register their child for the district, so they filed district protocols as outlined in terms of confirming and how to move forward about with this mom's concerns for her kid. I want them to support her, listen to her, don't dismiss her, treat her fairly, said the parent involved. Dr. Herman,
paging Dr. Herman, you have a telephone call at the front desk.
I spoke to her mother on Thursday, and I told her I would meet with her standpoint to hear what's occurred with her daughter this school year, but also see how the district can support her better.
Yeah,
the police are looking into the matter.
You don't want to hang out with her, Dottie. She's an outsider.
She's dangerous.
She's a rebel.
Yes, a rebel.
It's so good. It's so good to occasionally have something else we can refer to, and that in Pee-wee's Big Adventure it should always be one of them.
That's two Pee Wee Herman with the Alamo reference this morning during Hollywood Trash, and then this one. This one's even better. But I'm glad we find the real truth in the stories. That are going
that's
on
what matters.
That's what we are all about: finding truth.
But unfortunately, Dr. Herman is going to hear this every single day for the rest of his life. When someone says
her, it's a her.
For the rest of her life. Like if someone wants to go see Dr. Herman, paging Dr. Herman, you have a telephone call at the front desk. They must hear that all the time.
Legislation that could help determine a way forward for homeowners.
Homeowners is what?
What? I walked right into
gotcha.
it. Facing crumbling foundations in the Bay State is being continuously shot down. Western Mass News has a new perspective, this time from the side of the legislators. Representative Brian Ash of Hampden County has been working on the crumbling foundations problem for nearly a decade, and even though homeowner relief legislation continues to fail, he said he's not backing down from getting justice for residents. It's one of those things until you actually see it for yourself. It's really difficult to digest. It's really difficult to comprehend what it is. Representative Ash, along with the other legislators, hopes to mirror the work that has been done in Connecticut, where the pure height was found years prior. We're trying to use what's been successful with them to move forward with ours. And while it seems to be working south of the state border, Amendments 1310 and 1330 are still failing here in the Bay State. According to Representative Ash, it's hard for lawmakers to get behind $100 million in funding when they don't realize the severity of the issue. This is very serious.
And you knew this was going to be hard to rectify when these stories first came out about 10, 15 years ago.
I know somebody who had this happen in Connecticut that got the house was built with this stuff from this quarry that was being used. And what happens is, like, your whole foundation starts falling away, and there's nothing you can do about it other than rebuild the entire foundation. This woman that I know she had to move out of her house for, I think it was like 6 months at least, and move into like an efficiency, with a decent sized house, and you're moving into an efficiency. They have to. It's not just as simple as lifting the house up. You gotta undo all the plumbing. You gotta do all the electrical. You gotta do all that stuff, and then redo the entire foundation of the house, and then set it back down on the foundation. It's not as simple as it sounds.
No, it's actually very complicated. And what's worse is many of the contractors that used this stuff all those years ago are no longer in business.
No, that quarry is out of business now.
Yeah.
So there's not even anybody to hold accountable for it.
And the insurance companies, God bless them for all the money you spend on those policies. They're fighting the coverage of these situations.
And I remember this lady telling me she was lucky because she was like, when Connecticut came out with the offer to do these, redos of the basement. Not everybody was so lucky to get that funding for it. You had to be on. She was like online at like 11:59 p.m. waiting for the 12 midnight to come around so she could go and register, and she got in. But there was a lot of people who didn't because there wasn't enough funding to take care of all these.
It's a total nightmare.
But with that, your Pioneer Valley forecast. It's going to be nice and rainy with downpours and ponding.
Ooh, a chance of flooding. Well, that would be great. And I'm sure your foundation that's got holes in it will cover it.
I'm sure that'll be just fine. Did you ever get a good ponding before?
I think that's a little personal.
Yeah, ponding possible, all kinds of good stuff throughout the Western Mass region. High is 64 today. Tomorrow, more of the same with a high of 69 giggity. It's 58 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Oh, yeah.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 7:53, and Bon Jovi with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be a monsoon out there for the next few days. High is 64 today. There is a flood watch in effect for all of Western Massachusetts. High is 64 tomorrow. More of the same with a high of 69 giggity. It's 58 right now in downtown Springfield.
Pat Kelly's going to have your chance to win some great tickets to the Shed at Tanglewood with the Bare Naked Ladies with their special guest Sugar Ray and Fastball July 8th. And Pat is going to send you to the show. For details, go visit rock102.com/concerts from Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
Why don't we turn this up for a second here?
All right.
Okay. There we go.
I'm ready.
Have you got any messages for room 104? The name's Herman. P.W. Herman.
No, nothing right now, Mr. Herman.
I'll be in the bar.
I'm trying to get to the point. There it is.
Paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, you have a telephone call at the front desk.
Why? That's like one of those lines in that movie that just stands out, and you would think, well, that's the stupidest thing. But you had to see it in the context of the film.
Because that was the movie they were making about Pee-wee and the bike. And Morgan Fairchild, I believe, was in that scene.
She was playing Dottie. And was it James Brolin?
James Brolin, yep.
And playing Pee-wee.
And then they didn't want to put Pee-wee's real voice in there, so they put that voice over as he's acting. But he's also, I just noticed, I gotta go back and watch this movie because I haven't seen that in years. But he's looking at the camera while he's talking. Like the worst acting you could have possibly imagined. It was pretty damn funny.
Let's see. Hey, tomorrow we are going to be talking to Gary Ho. He's been on our show a million times. Great guitar player. And before we get into talking to him, I want to talk a little bit about his new record, which is coming out later on this week. So we'll talk about that next hour.
A new record.
A brand new record. It's first in years.
All right. Looking forward to that.
All right.
Tonight, by the way, if you're a resident of Huntington or the surrounding hill towns, there is a meeting about this gravel pit that they want to put in town.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty important. Whether you're for it or against it, it's a good way to go out and exercise your speech and your opinion, voice your opinion.
It's a way to be a good citizen.
Yes, it's a way to be a very good citizen, and that meeting is at 6 o'clock tonight at Stanton Hall in Huntington. So I hope to see you out there. I'll be there.
You're going to be there with the Rock 102 road crew, T-shirts and koozies for everybody?
Oh, yeah, we'll have the whole kit and caboodle going on there.
Rock 102 van, the new tent.
Yeah, you know what? You say that, and then one of these dingbats from my town will be like, hey, where's the T-shirt? You didn't bring the T-shirts with you? I guarantee somebody will say that to me now because I put it out there.
Right.
Yeah,
or someone, so as you're in the town meeting, someone on the board will say, "Hey, what happened to Marty?"
Yeah. Where's that? And where's O'Brien? How come? How come he hasn't been on the show?
How come you guys don't talk about him?
Yeah, what's going on? That's the real answers we want to know at this town meeting.
Forget about the hole in the ground. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
What happened?
It's just about 7:57 at Rock 102.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Benjamin Moore Paint, Cabot Stains, plus rock-solid painting advice and expertise.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Folks, I don't mean to alarm anybody, but in basketball, the purpose of having home court advantage is to play in front of your fans in familiar surroundings. It's not a complicated idea. That's why it becomes imperative to take advantage of that advantage so that the advantage becomes advantageous. Are you following me here? Good. Because this sort of thing is especially true in a 7-game playoff series in which your home court advantage shouldn't be working against you. Last night, the Boston Celtics allowed the New York Knicks to come back from a 20-point deficit to beat the Celtics in overtime at home during Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Now, you might wonder, Baxie, how does something like this happen? Celtics are clearly a better team. How could they allow such a catastrophe to happen? That's the same question I was asking myself, and the answer is actually quite simple. You see, to win basketball games, one must be able to score more points. The team that scores the most points usually wins. Last night, the Celtics decided to rely on shooting from behind the three-point line, an NBA playoff record 60 times. Unfortunately, of those 60 attempted three-point shots, they were only able to land 15 of them, meaning that they missed 45 times. That works out to a three-point percentage of just 25%. The Knicks, on the other hand, only shot behind the three-point line 37 times, of which they landed 17. Good for a 45% success rate. And yet, it was the Knicks that found other ways to win after being down by 20 points, whereas the Celtics kept relying on the one thing that clearly wasn't working. Now, let me ask you this. If you were doing something that didn't work over and over again, would you A, keep doing it, or B, find something else that did? Me, I would try to find something else that worked instead, rather than say to myself, hey, you know what would work great in this situation? Another three-point shot. At some point, I would have taken my home field advantage and switched things up and stopped relying on the very thing that's killing you. So let's hope that things are different tomorrow night in Game 2, because last night was awful. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. The Eagle battery-powered lawnmower has all the cutting power of a gas mower without all that stinky, expensive gasoline. You go to Rocky's, get the Eagle mower for $5.99 with your Ace Rewards card. Includes battery and charger. It's a hell of a deal at your neighborhood Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
DC with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Monsoon season is upon us. It's going to be heavy downpours today. Some big ponding happening. Yeah, I've been ponded before. Have you been ponded?
Not in a long time, but I've certainly pondered pondering.
High is 64. Tomorrow, more of the same with a high of 69. Giggity. It's 58 right now in downtown Springfield. We are live.
Yeah, live on the Rock 102 TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, you go to Rock 102, and there we are talking live with peeps.
We're live.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
live. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Yeah.
Hey, tomorrow on the show, we're going to welcome back our very good friend, Gary Hoey, who has been on the show many times. He's been, in the studio live. He's been at the Mayflower Marathon. He's done our live shows.
Yeah, I never heard of him.
You've heard of him. He's a great, great guy. Mm-hmm. Brilliant guitar player. He's got a brand new album, his first one in 6 years, coming out, I believe, on Friday, called Avalanche. And it's really, really good. In fact, I was listening to it just this morning, and it's excellent.
I believe it's Avalancha, but that's okay.
It is Avalanche. And in fact, tomorrow when he talks about it, watch how he says Avalanche. And I think you'll be surprised by how he doesn't pronounce it your way.
I'm going to correct him.
Yeah, that's a great idea. He'd appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do that.
So among the things that's happening in this new album of Gary, and bear with me here, because you'll be able to hear the record when it starts, when it gets posted on all the streaming things on Friday. He's doing a ballad with Lita Ford.
Oh.
Now, he and Lita have been friends for years. And I don't know when they got to know each other. I think it may have been around the same time that she called me an a-hole live on the radio.
Well, please do tell, because I want to hear about that.
Well, you go back to, I believe it was 1990, Steve. 1990.
Wait, did you go to a party last Saturday night? Couldn't get laid, but got in a fight?
Yeah, no. I turned out I didn't go to one.
It ain't no big thing.
It ain't no big thing. You're absolutely right.
You're late for your job and the traffic was bad. Did you have to borrow $10 from your old man? Uh-huh. It ain't no big thing.
Ain't no big thing. Anyway, let me try to explain what happened. Every summer in Milwaukee, where I was at the time in 1990,
I was in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'm not doing that, but I'm just it's for reference.
Yeah.
They have a big music festival on the shore of Lake Michigan called Summerfest, and it's like at the time it was an enormous music festival. Like 1 million people go in over the course of like 3 weeks.
Okay.
Incredible place. Anyway, Lita was to play at Summerfest that year. The day she arrived in town would have been like on a Friday night. She kind of like on a Friday afternoon. She was supposed to play on a Saturday, and we were going to introduce her live on her show on Saturday. She at the time she was married to Chris Holmes, who used to play with the band Wasp. Remember Wasp?
Oh yeah.
All right, Chris Holmes. If you ever saw the film The Decline of Western Civilization, The Metal Years, Chris Holmes is the guy that's in the swimming pool guzzling down a whole bottle of vodka while his mom is sitting poolside kind of saying, "What, did you like another bottle, Chris?" Anyway.
Sounds like a good relationship he had with his mom.
A great relationship with his mom. Anyway, he was married to Lita Ford for a blink of an eye. And the two of them flew into town together. Now, to greet them was my partner at the time, the morning show partner I had named Dan, and our boss named Dave. Dave and Dan took Lita Ford and Chris Holmes out of the town. Well, and in so many ways which Chris Holmes would operate, the evening ended with him being taken into protective custody by police.
Oh, okay.
He may have been slightly overserved.
You're telling me a guy with that would be served bottles of vodka by his mother
at the pool
had an incident with the police?
He had an incident with the police.
Wow.
And I don't know exactly what the incident was, but it had been a long night. And in fact, the arrest, the police intervention happened after Dan and Dave had left them alone.
Okay.
So they were gone for the night. But once the arrest happened, Lita Ford called my boss and said, "I need you to help me bail Chris out."
Okay.
So my boss and Dan, because they went to another bar, go back to the police station, and they pony up the money to bail out Chris Holmes of Wasp. Fast forward the following day, Dan and I are broadcasting live at Summerfest. And Lita Ford, around like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, comes up to our broadcast remote area.
Yeah.
And Dan says, "Hey, hop on a microphone. We'd love to have you on the air." And then the two of them are, "Are you guys okay? Is Chris okay? You doing all right?" And I thought, that they had known each other forever. And I didn't know anything about this whole situation.
Okay.
About the protective the protective order, the arrest, or the bail. I didn't know nothing about this. He didn't really get into it. He just said, "Well, we had a late night last night with Lita Ford," and that's all.
That could mean a whole slew of things. Yeah.
Not knowing Lita Ford all that well on a personal level, that could mean a million different things. So I go on the air. Lita Ford's there, and I have pictures that will support me doing this. There's pictures of me, Dan, and Lita Ford together. So this is absolutely a 100% true story. As we're interviewing her on the air, it's going pretty good. And then I say, "Hey, Lita, what do you say you and I go bowling?"
Yeah,
because bowling's a big sport in Wisconsin. I thought, how cool would it be to take Lita Ford, who's got smash hits all over the place?
Yeah, see how she can knock a few pins down.
Exactly.
Okay.
And she kind of like dismissed me like in the middle of this, like, I'm in no mood for bowling.
Right.
But I persisted because I thought, how great would it be to be, kegling a few frames with Lita Ford? And I offered to pay for the shoes. I offered to pay for the games. I said I would take score. I would do whatever I could to get Lita Ford to agree to go bowling with me. Who doesn't love bowling? You ever been bowling, Steve?
Bowling? You want to rush? Bowling.
You drop one of them balls on your foot.
Yeah.
You're going to get a rush.
You want to rush?
Yeah.
Bowling.
Now, bowling with Lita Ford I thought would be terrific. I even offered to say, I tell you what, you want to have your husband join us so you don't feel like there's anything awkward here,
Yeah.
I'll be happy to pay for your husband's shoes and your husband to join us on the. We have a threesome of bowling, just you,
Okay.
me, and your husband.
Yeah, and again, you didn't know.
I had no
what
idea.
happened.
All I know is a late night. That was it. She was wearing sunglasses.
Okay.
Couldn't see the bloodshot eyes. Couldn't see anything,
Yeah.
anything of the sort. And then she, at this point, was starting to get annoyed by my constant asking of the reframing of the invitation to go bowling with me.
Yeah.
So finally, she says to Dan, "Who is this a-hole?" This is live on the air.
Lita Ford.
Yeah. Who is this a-hole?
Yeah.
And Dan, to his credit, said, "This is my partner, and he would love to take you bowling." Now, at that point, the interview winds down, and again, we're only talking about like 7 or 8, maybe 10 minutes. We're talking with her, but it was enough to say for her to pack up her stuff and said, "That's it, I'm leaving." Mm-hmm. And I was told that I was not going to be introducing her with Dan.
Oh, you got Ford blocked.
I got Lita blocked, and I've had the opportunity to interview her since then.
Yeah,
and it never worked out, so I never had a chance to confront her with this. I did, however, tell Gary the story.
Yeah.
He was after one of our live shows. He was at the Fort. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know what happened. She's a sweetheart. She really is really nice."
I mean, you clearly caught her on a bad day. You didn't know that she had the incident with the husband who got arrested and a restraining order and all that other stuff.
It wasn't in the newspapers. Yeah. You would think that if Chris Ford of WASP gets arrested, that would make the news. Didn't make the news that night.
There was so much other news going on at the time, though.
Yeah, I'm sure the news stations didn't think it was such a big deal that the bass player for WASP would be arrested. I think they would assume that would happen like once a weekend.
What year was this?
1990.
1990.
Was it 90 or 91?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. Somewhere around that ballpark.
Yeah, I don't. I think there's obviously a miscommunication here. She was having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you didn't know the mitigating circumstances. When you mentioned the husband, I bet you that was a trigger for her.
It probably was,
and
considering what a bad night they had.
That SOB, I don't want to even speak his name right now, and here you are bringing it up. She doesn't know that you don't know.
Right.
She thinks you do know.
Right.
Because she's buddy-buddy with the station. Well, you think she's buddy-buddy with the station manager or whatever it was. All right. Is it station manager?
Station manager and my partner, Dan.
Right.
Yeah.
So she has no idea. I think it's just a big miscommunication, and I would really hope that we could get Lita Ford back on the air. And my only hope is that she would still call you an a-hole for many other different reasons.
I'm not saying I didn't deserve it. I mean, because I was being a little relentless, and sometimes when a woman says no, you got to just take that for a no. But when it comes to bowling, it's like, well, okay, but I'm trying to make bowling easy for you.
Well,
shoes, frame, all the rentals. I'll even score for you. I would do all those things for Lita Ford and bowling. Hell yes.
Somebody on our TikTok Live says, but who wants to go bowling even on a good day?
Dude, you don't even know how much fun bowling can be. And I'm telling you, when you're bowling with me, it is a party.
Don't you want to... Who doesn't want to risk getting athlete's foot from used shoes, even if they do spray that little antibacterial stuff in each set between users?
Well, I was going to assume that you'd probably be bowling in at least tube socks.
You can't bowl in tube socks.
Sure you can. You don't want to have a bare foot inside those shoes.
How you gonna? Yeah. Oh, you mean tubes? I thought you meant just tube socks.
No. She'd have to wear more than just the tube socks.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that that's a buffer between shoes that 1,000 people have worn and your flesh.
I gotta say, yes, you are the a-hole, and B, again, it's a big misunderstanding.
Well,
a big giant misunderstanding, and I hope that you get the chance, like I had my chance with Dice Man.
Yeah, see, now that was another good example.
That was just me cowering though to Dice Man.
Well, he's intimidating. He's a very intimidating.
No,
presence.
you know what it was? It was him being an old man, and I'm like, I can't really bash the elderly at this point. and you know what? That may very well happen with Lita Ford.
Yeah,
maybe she's She doesn't quite have the wit that she did back in the 90s.
Well, maybe we'll bring this up with Gary and see if he can. I don't want to use him as an intermediary, between maybe having the opportunity to apologize.
Yeah.
Much the way we had to apologize to Nancy Wilson of Heart, much the way we had to apologize.
But that was an insult.
That was an insult, and we were probably in the wrong about that one. I'm trying to remember who else I had to apologize. Oh yeah, to the lead singer of Wang Chung. I had to apologize. I didn't have to apologize. I had to explain the whole Wang Chung situation, in which I was thrown out of a concert because the guys in front of us were throwing ice cubes at them on the stage. And as it turns out, the Beastie Boys were the ones who were throwing ice, and I got booted out of the show.
Look at you. You this is why you're so involved in music interviews. Because you've been wronged so many times by famous musicians.
It's true
that you're just trying to kind of make up for all of the times that you were kicked out of a show or refused an interview.
The whole podcast is really about settling scores. Yeah. That's what it really boils down to.
Hey, I once interviewed David Alan Grier early on in my career, and I said, so what have you been doing since Amazon Women on the Moon? And he was like, you D.I. you know what, right? And he was pretty upset about that. Like, I had kind of dismissed all of his other accomplishments that he had been on, like In Living Color.
Right, like the bulk of his success happened after that film.
And at this time, this was like 20 years ago, he's a successful comedian at that point.
Yeah, highly respected and everything.
He was coming to the Hukilau. You guys were off that day, and I'm like, I'll interview David Alan Grier. That was a bad choice.
It's 8:24 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. Yes. It's 8:27 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Did that just end abruptly like that?
Did you just stop it?
No.
What? Oh, the commercial.
The commercial.
Yeah, it ended abruptly like that. You got to be on your toes.
There's no fade?
No.
Ah.
That's just an abrupt ending right there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Anyhow, so there's all of that.
I'm just reading a story about Bay State Health has appointed Brandon O'Keezy as the new president and chief operating officer of Bay State Noble Hospital. Do they give you the sickle and the cloak to make you look like death when you get that job?
I have no idea.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
If anybody's been to Bay State Noble, you know what I'm talking about.
Hey, not for nothing. For those of you who are going to wait for later on today to purchase your the Rock 102 Golf Club, it's sold out. You missed out. You had a great opportunity to get a lot of cheap golf, and you missed it. Unless you were one of those that bought into it, congratulations to you. Thanks to everyone supporting the Rock 102 Golf Club, including Swing Oil Beer.
All right, Swing Oil. All right. Get your Swing Oil.
But your SOL if you were looking for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a popular thing.
Sure it was. We sold them all out. The best thing we could possibly do.
Well, I mean, I think one of the biggest complaints was like you can't use the thing, like you can't use it 10 times at one place. But you can use, but you're getting it's like getting an appetizer at Costco. You're getting a sample of each course throughout the area. Yeah. Then you can decide which one you like the best and
then keep going back time and time again. Yeah, see,
it's like a Rock 102 work release. Bring your Tupperware so you can keep shoving golf balls into it and take it home with you later on.
No, I don't think that's what you were supposed to do.
You're not?
No, because otherwise you would look like a deadbeat. And the last thing that we want to accuse our audience of being a bunch of deadbeats.
Deadbeats, right. They're just listening to us now.
We don't want freeloaders listening to this show.
That's
Absolutely.
Right.
We got news next on Rock 102.
Here's your
8:33 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news brought to you by 413 Pro Tint for tinting in your vehicle, home, or business. Call 413 Pro Tint in Springfield today. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. A woman was arrested on weed charges after police responded to a disturbance Monday morning.
Steve, I believe that's OUI charges.
No, I believe it's wee-wee.
I don't believe so. I don't believe French had anything to do with it.
Police had arrived at a home in North Hadley and realized that 32-year-old Karina Labonte was under the influence and could not drive home. Police then left, but 20 minutes later, officers were back in the area responding to a hung-up 911 call and discovered that Labonte and her car were gone. Officers, that little piggy went wee 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 all the way down the street.
Where she was arrested by police.
Yeah, officers quickly located Labonte driving up the street and caught up with her in a neighbor's driveway. Officers said she had slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, and smelled of alcohol.
Those might have been clues.
I think these things might be, connected. They said she refused to follow commands and tried to walk away from the scene. She was eventually placed under arrest. If somebody tells you not to do something,
and that person is a cop.
Yeah, and it says, hey, you're gonna be arrested if you continue to if you get in your car and drive home. Obviously, there's nothing we can do to you right now, but we will take you all the way to the police station.
When a police officer tells you, do this or don't do this,
yeah,
that is not the time to say, oh, yeah? How who are you to tell me not to do? Whose army is going to stop me? That's not the time to say something like that.
Well, probably the 4 officers that are on duty at the Hadley Police Department. That's who our army is.
But it only takes one cop to take you down.
That's true. Massachusetts-based supermarket chain Stop & Shop experienced issues with its information technology system over the weekend.
Is it the robots?
The robots. It's those robots walking around the store.
Yeah.
They're taking over, which impacted some keypad functions at checkout. A company representative said IT teams have now resolved the matter and transaction services are fully restored. Well, thank God our national nightmare is over.
Right.
However, there still may be some issues with loyalty card transactions, but Stop & Shop said that should be fixed soon. That sounds like the IT guy we got working here. All happy about it.
I've never seen anybody happier in my life.
This is not a big deal. What are you talking about?
We have presented that poor guy with so many different problems, and he's walking around here with a big smile on his face.
That's what we do. We keep people smiling around here.
For a while, until their probationary period is over.
I'm telling you, he's going to crack one of these days.
I don't think so. I think this is just his affect. I just think he's a naturally happy fella.
He's glowing. He's glowing every time I see him in the hallway.
He is a walking, sparkling ray of sunshine.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's very uplifting. I go to him for daily affirmations. Him and I sit in his office, and he reads me quotes.
Do you like candles together, like scented candles?
No. It's nothing like that. He sits down, and we have a 5-minute affirmation meeting. He tells Steve, you are worthy enough. You are good enough.
And doggone it, people like you.
Yes, it's very much like a Stuart Smalley type of meeting.
Yes.
I don't know how somebody who works in IT can be that happy. I have never met a happier IT guy than the new guy that we got here now.
It'd be like working in a call center with a good attitude. It's like you would never see that.
It's true. I don't know. Maybe he's.
Hi, my name is Derek. How can I help you? What's your problem with your computer today?
Oh, don't you worry, my friend. I'm going to take care of that for you. It's like having Mr. Rogers walking around the station. Hi, neighbor. How are you?
I like the guy.
The deadline to get a real ID is fast approaching after years of postponements and delays.
Steve, isn't the same exact story you've been doing for the last 10 years?
Yeah, but it's finally happening now.
Really?
Starting May 7th, which is tomorrow, your license or identification card will need to be a real ID to fly domestically in the U.S. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there will be another delay in the deadline this time. So if you're confused about how to get a real ID, why you even need one in the first place, and what happens if you don't have one by tomorrow, here's some things you need to know. What is a real ID? Well, for years, folks, you've been carrying around fake ones in your wallet. This is why we need to update the system.
I'm sure we all remember the fake ID. Well, now it's back.
That's like that, Willie Fistergash called in last week? His real name is Roy Smith. But they put Willie Fistergash on his license.
Changed it. Yeah, well, you won't get away with that on the fake ID. The real ID.
It's a federally compliant state-issued license or identification card that the DHS says is more a secure form of identification. Besides needing a real ID to fly domestically, you'll also need one to access certain federal buildings and facilities. Why is this happening? Well, when the Real ID Act was signed into law in 2005, 20 years later.
20 years ago.
It enacted a recommendation from the 9/11 Commission that the government set security standards for state-issued driver's licenses and IDs. The Real ID Act was supposed to begin rolling out in 2008, but has faced repeated delays due to the state implementation challenges and the COVID-19 pandemic.
Steve, let me throw this at you. When you're talking about like certain federal buildings, would like the federal courthouse be one of those?
Yes.
So if I committed some federal crimes,
yeah,
and I had to go to trial, a federal trial on federal crimes, like say I committed a couple of felonies or what have you, but I couldn't get into the courthouse because I failed to get the real ID.
Then you don't get charged.
Well,
sorry, can't let you in here.
Seems to me I've figured the whole system out.
Now, how do I know if I already have a real ID?
Probably because you went and got one.
If you've gotten a new ID in the last few years, it could already be a real ID.
Mm-hmm.
A real ID compliant driver's license has a symbol which is a star.
A gold star.
Gee, I never knew of any government that put stars on things that made you compliant with something.
It's like putting a star in your forehead. Like when you're in kindergarten, you had good penmanship.
If you live in Michigan, Minnesota, New York, Vermont, or Washington, it's possible you could have an enhanced ID card instead, which permits you to cross land and sea borders into Mexico and Canada from the U.S. It does not, however, allow you to fly into either of those countries. Enhanced ID, that is so stupid. These are just like stupid ways. We've had 20 years to figure this out, and yet you can use one ID to cross a border, but you can't use another ID to fly into another country.
Yeah, that's right.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't need to.
Enhanced IDs will have an American flag icon as well as the word enhanced at the top of the card. That's when you know.
Let me look at my real ID here.
You have a gold star, don't you?
I got a big fat gold star. Yeah, right there, pal. Big fat gold star.
I got one too.
Yes.
If I don't have a real ID, how do I get one?
How do you get one?
The requirements vary by state. You'll need to visit a website of your state's driver's license agency to find out the specific steps, including whether you'll need to make an appointment at a DMV and what documentation you'll need when you get there. And what happens on May 7th?
It's a good question.
If you don't have a real ID by the deadline you're planning to board a domestic flight, you'll need to bring your passport or another TSA-approved form of identification when you travel.
What about my Costco card?
I think that's acceptable. Costco, BJ's.
Library card?
What else? Blockbuster membership. I think those are still valid.
At all participating Blockbuster locations?
Well, think about this. Blockbuster was still alive and well when they enacted this law to put these real IDs into place. That would have been a completely valid form of identification to back you up.
It's taken 20 years. Yeah. I mean, when people have been renewing their licenses for the last 20 years, I mean, it would have taken no additional time to get the real ID. Is that correct?
I guess so. You know, we were talking about earlier about that Amherst fight up in Amherst, people throwing hands and all that stuff. One of the issues was apparently, allegedly, the student, there was issues with the do they live here things.
Sure.
They ask me that every year at the school district. Do you still reside at the address? We're going to need proof. Like they want a utility bill and they want all this stuff to go on. I'm like, can't I just wave at the superintendent as she drives past the house on her way to the school? Hi, it's me. I still live here.
You've been living there for years. She's been driving past your house every day for years too.
Yeah, why can't that just be a valid form of residency requirement?
Because she's not the one doing the paperwork.
I guess so. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today. Rainy with a high of 64. Tomorrow, rainy with a high of 69. Giggity, it is 60 right now in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Aw, yeah.
Who do the pros trust to keep them looking good?
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:51 and Def Leppard with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to rain all day long. The high is 64. It is 60 right now in downtown Springfield.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but it happens to be Foster Care Awareness Month.
It is Foster Care Awareness Month. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that until recently when we booked Mariana Latovich from All Our Kids, and she's in the studio with us right now. It's good to see you.
Hey, thanks for letting me crash your morning party here.
It's a big, giant party.
I know.
And I know you're very impressed with the surroundings, as most
Incredibly.
people. Oh, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about All Our Kids, because I think a lot of people aren't familiar with the organization, and a little information about what's going on there.
So we are an organization started in 2017. Everyone involved is a foster parent or an adoptive parent, and we support other foster and adoptive parents in Western Massachusetts.
You know, I think, fostering kids of any age is one of those things that people hear about, but they may not know how to do it or what's involved in the process of it. There is a lot of vetting that goes on to make sure the kids are placed in safe homes and put into good spaces. How difficult is it to get through the process of fostering a child?
Some people liken it to the pregnancy process, and it takes sometimes that long, sometimes even longer. It's a lot of hoop jumping. It's a lot of bureaucracy. It's a lot of invasive questions being asked. It's certainly not easy, and it's not for everybody. But some people are really passionate about wanting to do it. They jump the hoops. They, fulfill that need that they have to make a difference in their community. Other people, fostering is not for them. And AOK really believes that it takes the community. Everybody has a role to play. And so we have all kinds of opportunities for the community to become involved. Whether you want to foster, whether you have fostered or adopted, or whether you're like, that's not for me, but I still want to make a difference.
But it's still an essential service. I mean, there are plenty of kids that could stand to benefit from fostering. How many kids are being fostered right now in Massachusetts?
It's mind-boggling how many kids are in foster care in Massachusetts. There are almost 2,000 kids in foster care in Western Massachusetts alone.
Really?
Yes. And sometimes these kids cannot find a foster home because there aren't enough of them. So it's tricky. It's tricky out there. Now, we are not a placement agency. We don't do anything with putting kids in families. We don't license families, none of that. We're just a grassroots organization of folks who are part of this community who want to make it easier for other folks who are part of this community.
All right, so you don't actually have a helping, or you do have a helping hand in at least guiding people to the right process, right?
We have a helping hand in guiding people to the right process. After they've already become foster parents, then we embrace them into this community that we have. And we support them with programs. We support them with a free store where they can come and pick up anything they need, mentorship, events, and really that village that everybody wants to raise a child in.
I think that's great. But it's a great support system because there are many challenges that go along with fostering a child.
And the challenges are ones that not anybody can understand. You have to really be in that community to be like, oh, I get it. I get that somebody's knocking on your door in the middle of the night because there's been a drug raid and this baby needs a home. Like, that's weird. That's a weird way to live. And so we form a community of folks who are like, oh, yep, I got you. Here's some formula and diapers, and here's this thing and that thing, and come to this event so that we can, support and rally around you.
Right, because every child has a different story. Every child has a different place where they came from. The reason why they're in foster care can vary, I'm sure. Probably a million different ways.
A million different ways. They also have siblings, and not always are those siblings placed together. So there's a sibling that could be in a different town, and we want to try to make sure that those siblings remain connected. So support those families in doing that. That's not easy either.
Plus a support group for the parents. You meet other people.
That's
I'm sure that you can I don't want to say commiserate with, but to
There's
share
a good
experience.
amount of commiseration.
I'm sure there is. But also to share the experiences, because
Definitely.
some people might have a similar situation that
Yeah.
even though every situation is different, you still have somebody that can understand you on that level.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hugely powerful.
This is Mariana Latovich from All Our Kids. You can find out more by going to fosteringaok.org to find out more details. But one of the things that you mentioned 2,000 kids just in Western Massachusetts
Just in
alone.
Western Mass.
Obviously, you're not just talking babies, and you could be
No.
talking about kids who are teenagers or middle school age kids. I
Absolutely.
mean, where is the biggest need right now for fostering, or is it really all over the place?
It really is all over the place. I think some people think that, everybody wants babies. But babies are hard and they keep you up in the night and you can't go to work because they need daycare. And some people think, oh man, the teens, maybe I need, it's all over. Every age group. There's a need for every age group. There's a need for kids to be adopted. That's not ideal. That's not what foster care is designed for. We want them to go back to their families. Sometimes that can't happen, and they can't go to an uncle or a grandparent. And so sometimes folks have to step up and adopt children who are in foster care. They could be there from when they were babies. They could be 18. Some kids have aged out of foster care. And still need families. So there's definitely a need for families to step up and be there for children of all ages.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's an important distinction to make about foster children. It's not, the stigma I think that mainstream media has fed us over the years is that, everybody's a little orphan Annie and thing is, but that's not always the case. These kids are attached to families already.
These kids are not
There
orphans.
are situations that are preventing them from being back with their families for at least the time being. So I think that's a really important distinction.
Yeah,
to
these
make.
kids are not orphans,
Right.
and foster care is not an adoption agency.
Right.
I think a lot of people come into it and say, no, I just want to adopt, and then I don't want to think about the fact that this kid had a whole nother family before. That's not what this is about. We
Right.
want kids to return to their families. We want them to be safe. We want to support their birth families. And all of that takes us supporting our families so that they can do that.
And it's not, when you're talking about like support, it's not just the support of those who are currently fostering kids, but there has to be a certain level of need for people who are seeing their foster kids being reincorporated with their families. That
it's
can't
so
always.
hard.
It would have to be hard.
It's so hard. And, that is what you sign up for, which is cold comfort. And it is part of the experience of being a foster parent. And sometimes these things are to be celebrated. When a family rehabilitates and they address the issues that put their kid in foster care, and now the child is able to be back with the family they belong with, that's a cause to celebrate. But on the other hand, you've lost that kiddo from your family. And it's there's definitely grief, although sometimes there's relief, don't get me wrong. There's definitely grief a lot of times, worry. It's hard. It's a hard experience. This is a hard lifestyle that I've picked. I don't know what I was thinking.
But you mentioned that you are a foster parent.
So I can't say that I am anymore because my house is full, and we adopted our last placement in 2023, and the inn is now closed. But we were for about 15 years.
Wow. Yeah. How many kids did you foster during that time?
I think it was about 13. So we fostered kids for years and years, often before we adopted them. Some kids stayed for a couple of nights, and some kids stayed forever, obviously, 3 of them. Some kids stayed for months, but yeah.
And some kids never leave.
So I don't think my kids are ever going to leave. I think I need to create some kind of, do
you live
over
in
the
a
garage. Yeah.
Do you live in a shoe?
I should.
I think I read this story once before. But I listen. I think it's a great organization, and I think it's great work that you're doing. And obviously, support is so important for these families. And I think you're doing great work over there. So
thank you.
They wanted to get in contact with you again. How would they do that?
So the website is fosteringaok.org, and you'll find information about volunteering, becoming involved, donating to us. We don't receive any money from the state, from the feds. We're really community run and community supported. So we need folks to get involved, and we'd love to hear from you. Fosteringaok.org.
Mariana Latovich, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's 9 o'clock with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.